Hello, welcome to Nate Merflix. I am Nate, you are you, and if you're not familiar with this channel or me, then you may not know that I'm a huge Halloween fanboy. This is my favorite horror franchise, and this is a horror-based channel, so that is saying an awful lot. That being said, I wasn't exactly over the moon with Halloween Kills. I gave it a negative, almost scathing review, and I've talked about the movie since then and my problems. But through all this, I've maintained that I am optimistic and I'm going to cross my fingers for the future of the franchise. And I'm going to hope and pray that when we see Halloween Ends next year, that I'm going to go, yes, that is how you end a trilogy. That's one of my favorite Halloween movies. I think we all want that. We are all fans no matter how we felt about the last film. But that being said, we've got more information in the last week or two about where this franchise may be driving towards. So what am I talking about? Well, I got like 3 different little news stories for you here today. Let's go ahead and start off with one regarding Tommy Doyle and the novelization for Halloween Kills. Now, the writer for the novelization came out and said that he got to explore characters and their motivations and their backstories a bit more than the actual filmmakers did because he wasn't constrained by that 90-minute to 2-hour runtime. So he was able to go in and flesh out the backstory and look at Tommy Doyle and explain that since that pivotal night that Michael Myers came home, that things have been really rough for the traumatized Tommy Doyle. Now you could see that in his relationships and that he kind of went from job to job. He would just kind of lose it at work and get into scuffles with his bosses and things like that, that he's just had a real tough go of it. And he was, of course, obsessed with Michael Myers. So much so that he got what? A Cult of Thorn tattoo. Now let's think about this. Do you like that? Because I don't like that. In fact, I fucking hate that. That makes no sense. One of the biggest problems I've had with these latest films is that they are just so callback heavy to where it starts to feel like they are playing the greatest hits of the Halloween franchise, which is problematic when they've gone out of their way to retcon and erase everything from the other sequels. You have rendered them obsolete and said they didn't matter, only to lift their best ideas or the fan favorite aspects. And now we're going to do that in and tie it into the Tommy Doyle character because Tommy Doyle was in Halloween 6 Curse of Michael Myers and he was in Halloween Kills. But guess what? That tattoo would mean nothing. And they try to explain that it's because he was obsessed with Michael Myers and that even though he doesn't realize it, sometimes when he gets anxious or angry, he'll subconsciously just kind of reach over and start rubbing the Cult of Thorn tattoo. That is so stupid. It just... Okay, if you were traumatized by somebody, would you get a tattoo that they had, even though Michael doesn't have that tattoo, we've seen as much, or had anything to do with them? This is some of the dumbest stuff I've seen since Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 when Laurie Strode sleeps under a giant poster of Charles Manson every night. This is dumb, and it's kind of symbolic of a lot of the pitfalls of what we've received so far in this new run of Halloween films. I don't like that. Do you like it? Do you see it as just a fun little throwaway Easter egg in the novelization, or would you like to see them try to tie into this a little bit more with Halloween Ends? Clearly, I wouldn't. I think it's dumb. I think it's a baffling decision. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever from a narrative standpoint. Moving on, because I got nothing nice to say about that. For the next point, David Gordon Green has given us a little bit of insight into what we could expect for Halloween Ends. We know that this is supposed to be a coming of age story and that this is going to be much more intimate and contained, which the last part excites me. I like that we're going to kind of bring it down, get a little bit brass tacks. We're not going to focus on the entire town anymore. Hopefully we can actually get into some good characterizations and maybe see how Laurie and Allyson are doing 4 years after the massacre of 2018. And we can just, kind of explore the relationship of them to the boogeyman. That's what we all came for anyway. When we left Halloween 2018, the stuff we were most excited about was seeing what's going to happen with the Strode women. And we wanted to see Allyson kind of develop into the new Laurie Strode and to pick up the mantle to do something, anything. And she just didn't have an arc really in Halloween Kills. So when you say coming of age, I tend to believe that you are talking about Allyson and that we might be doing something really interesting with her. The troubling part for me is that there's been a lot of talk that they're going to try to use her to be like the new Jamie Lloyd. And that at the end of Halloween 2018, when you saw her really gripping the knife and there was this really purposeful zoom in on that, it was supposed to be a foreboding type of thing. Do not do that. Again, don't dash out all these other movies just to give us what they already gave us. If I want to see that twist ending, I will go watch Halloween 4. It did that decades ago. Do something new. Why endeavor to write a brand new trilogy if you're just going to give us what we already have? We can already come to the Halloween franchise that is full of so many different timelines and play choose our own adventure. If I want to choose my own adventure that involves the Cult of Thorn or a twist where Michael passes on the baton to one of his family members, I can go watch one of those pre-existing films. You don't need to do that. You've had so many years to craft out your own freaking lore, your own legacy, your own timeline. Do something with it. So please do not do that with the Allyson character, especially when you're talking about a coming of age story and just all this stuff. This just feels way, way, way too lofty for we're coming off of an entry that didn't really do anything in the character department. If you wanted to go there, then we needed to flesh that out and start building on that with our second film. But we don't really have a foundation at this point. So that might be too much too soon. I'm all about seeing how Allyson is doing in the wake of the massacre. Maybe Laurie is realizing that she was wrong about a lot of the things. She felt like Michael was all about her, and she sees now that he never was. She had it all wrong, and now she's lost her daughter. Maybe she will back off and start to realize that she's done nothing but made things worse, and it'll be Allyson who is then being like, no, I'm going to avenge my mother. That could be interesting, but don't make her the boogie woman. David Gordon Green also said that he sent his latest revision of the script over to John Carpenter so that Carpenter could see what he was doing, because this time around, he doesn't just want to pay respects to John's villain, Michael Myers, and the people of Haddonfield. No, he wants to take on the full filmography of John Carpenter. He wants to pay respects to the big picture of John Carpenter. What? You guys want me to believe that you've had a plan all along. It sounds like we are just making things up as we go along, though. Shouldn't you, in all these past years that you've been collaborating with John Carpenter, have been in his ear, then be like, hey, guess what? And Halloween Ends, I'm going to kind of do some things that make people go, whoa, 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 was that Christine right there? Yeah. Apparently, Christine is the biggest motivation right now for David Gordon Green when it comes to Halloween Ends. He's trying to put a lot of Christine into Halloween Ends. For those of you who don't know, Christine is a movie about a killer car. Now, if you look on the brighter side, he could be talking about Allyson and her coming of age and that she's had to get mean and get tough and have to be on the assault. And in Christine, we have a kid that kind of has to go from being a nerd to kind of being the hero of the story. Okay, but that's kind of a tenuous connection. That's really, really stretching things. And I already feel like when we try to get a little ambitious, we try to make all these connections, we try to pay homage to things, we try to tackle bigger external themes so far in this new run of Halloween films, that's really when we've shot ourselves in the foot to the point of blowing our foot clear off. And we may be doing that. So let's just focus on telling that really, really tight, really, really tightly wound Halloween story that's about Laurie, Allyson, and Michael. Let's just do that. Let's not worry about being like, did you guys catch that little nod to The Thing or to Christine or The Fog? Let's not do that. You're doing a trilogy based off of one of John Carpenter's classics. That's enough. You've paid your respects. You brought him on and you let him and his son and you let them do the score. You've done enough. All right? We don't have to shoehorn Christine into this movie or to try to force some sort of connection, because it may prove all the more clumsy. And when we've heard you say this and we go watch the next movie, we might be like, oh, I see what you were trying to go for, but maybe you shouldn't have. Maybe you should have just made a straightforward Halloween movie. So what do you guys think about those bits of news? Obviously, I'm not exactly glass half full on them. I'm much more glass half empty. I'm getting a bit skeptical about things. I don't like the possible direction of everything. I'm still kind of scratching my head over why we're jumping forward 4 years, and that was never the original plan anyway, but I digress. Be sure to comment your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video and you love talking Halloween, then go ahead and hit subscribe. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm Nate for Nate Netflix saying that's a wrap.